What's up, y'all? This is Lorraine Lindsey. You're watching the Lorraine Lindsey Podcast show, another episode of The Mindsetters. And today we have the fellas in the building to talk about a juicy topic, lust versus love. But before I introduce my wonderful guests, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button. Show us that you like us, give us your comments, and that's it. Subscribe. Yeah, thank you. Okay. I'm over here already laughing. I'm ready. That's because I'm ready. So anyhow, love versus lust. How do you know the difference, and what is it that we're looking for? And can lust turn into love? So before we get into this, let me introduce my gentlemen that are here today to tap into men's perspective, and the ladies will talk about their perspective on the topic. So let me start off with my very first guest. And this is Mr. Cleavon Funches. He is, wait, stand by one moment.
Okay, all right.
Hey, Cleve, what's up? Okay, so here's a little bit about Cleavon. He's one out of 11 siblings in his home. He was born and raised in public housing in the historic West Las Vegas, Nevada. He has surpassed the many influences of his community, despite being shot multiple times, residing in a coma for a little under 1 month, and being a paraplegic. He has continued the journey to rescue at-risk youth from potential mistakes that he has made. As a father of 6, he is a community philanthropist, successful entrepreneur, and a man of resilience who seeks to share wisdom to encourage others to become better. He also hosts his own YouTube podcast show, No Feelings.
Just facts.
Just facts. And of course, as you saw him up there, the real Cleavon is how you can find him on TikTok, yes, and also on Instagram. Cleve. Yes, we go way back, and you are very, very much a resilient man. You went from tragedy to triumph in many different ways. So I'm so grateful to have you here to give us some of your real perspective on the topic.
Me bubbling inside. Thank you. Thank you. No, this is an honor.
I just love you.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Huge compliment.
So my next guest is Vito, and I always mess up your last name, Paparello.
Close enough.
Say it for me.
Right.
Paparello?
Yeah.
Oh, I was all trying to be extra Italian about it.
Is that Italian?
He's Italiano.
Put that hit out.
Yeah. So a little bit about Mr. Paparello. He has an impeccable background in the world of finance with over 15 years of executive expertise in the areas of financial management, corporate strategic outsourcing, organizational strategy development, and process implementation. He has also been actively involved in the areas of corporate business development and global sales. Mr. Paparello spent the vast majority of his financial career in the arena of consulting and investment banking services to businesses and property owners throughout the North American region. His experiences range from assisting clients in structuring opportunities to establishing multi-million-dollar investments while catering to a wide network of wealthy individuals, family offices, institutional lenders, and investors. This has allowed him to build a unique platform for solving capital issues. His tremendous success is a direct result of extraordinary dedication as he has committed his entire entrepreneurial career to service within his organization.
Nice.
I call you the man, the myth, the legend.
Get up.
You're kind of a big deal, Vito. But and you're a dear friend as well. We've known each other for several years now, and I really appreciate you being here. Obviously, the both of you are very, very busy men doing what you do. So for you to take the time to be on the show to talk about lust versus love, it's just giving a little spin on these hardworking men and their heartstrings and their other strings. And of course,
come on, let's talk about it because I'm trying to find love.
And their other strings, okay? And of course, we cannot forget my beautiful co-host, Miss Carmen Smith. You can find her at Carmen Smith Realtor. She is a local real estate agent here in Nevada with Signature Realty. So if you are looking to buy or sell, please get in contact with Carmen. I loved it last week, right? I was like, so Miss Carmen Smith. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into this. I want to start off, I've been reading and doing a lot of stuff, but I thought that this would be a fun topic to talk about because all of us here are single people, whether we're in a relationship or not. We're unmarried people, right?
Correct.
And when you're out there kind of dating and meeting people, especially if you're ready to kind of find love, so to speak, or maybe you're not ready to find love, there can often be some confusion as to whether or not the person that you're seeing truly is out for you just for the lust factor, or if this lust that you have for this person is going to evolve into love. And so if you put up that slide for me, Quan, there is a blogger. Her name is Jody Bowie, and she had a interesting blog on the topic of lust versus love. So we're going to kind of go through each one. So we'll start with this, and then at the end of the bullets, I have some questions that we're going to kind of battle it out with about lust versus love. And we're going to ask the questions and get your guys' perspective.
I'm ready
so the
to talk
first one was grows slowly is love. When it's love, it grows slowly. Versus lust, it's kind of like that at first sight thing, like, dang. Okay, wait. So I'm going to say a little something about what happened to me many, many moons ago with my ex-husband. Okay, I'm on a cruise with my girlfriends, and there was about 6 of us, and everybody was like, oh, I heard that you can meet like hot guys on ships, and one girl's like, I hear you can meet a husband. And I was like, I don't want to meet anybody. I am totally against it. I'm just going to have a good time and hang out with my girls. And of course, me, of all the people, we're in this disco on the ship, okay? Mm-hmm. And we walk into the room, and my girlfriend taps me. She's from Miami. She's a little Colombiana from Miami. She's like, bro, check out that guy. He's hot. And I turn around, and I'm in my 20s, okay? And I look across the room, and it was like, oh. I was like, oh, my God. That's like the most beautiful man I've ever laid eyes on in my life. Was that lust or was that love? Because I was ready to marry him that weekend.
Okay. You ended up marrying him, right?
Yeah. And I ended up marrying him. And guess what?
Wait, did we have a lustful moment on that ship too?
No, actually, I did not. Oh. I was actually really good. I really was. That's
Lord.
Like truth. I'm being honest. I was.
Well, you took away from the story, man.
Okay.
Yeah, for real.
No, but the thing was, I was really captivated by I was really attracted to him. Sure. And he was very like, almost like more like infatuation. Nice. So what do you guys think about this? I want you fellas to chime in. Is love growing, or can you have love at first sight and bam, 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 and it's a love thing, or is it always just lust?
I don't know. For me personally, the number one thing, everybody always attracted. I mean, you got to be attracted to what you want first. When you agree,
I agree.
Like I definitely got to be attracted, because I mean, if you over here looking like Respucia, and you build like me, and you got a little mustache, I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, exactly. So I mean, you're gonna automatically be attracted to what you see.
Somewhere. You have to. Yeah.
So after the attraction, so you have a mutual attraction with a woman.
Okay.
When do you know that it's more lustful, or that you can take it farther with that woman?
Ooh, Vito, you want to answer that?
That is a tough question to answer.
You say when you are more attracted.
Right.
Well,
when
you have the attraction, it's already established. You have the attraction for the woman, and you see her in the room. Can you tell right away whether it will be a lustful thing, or you want to take it farther?
I would definitely say once a person opens their mouth.
So it's immediate.
By the time a person opens their mouth and get to talking, then you kind of see where it's at, what kind of indirectly go from there. And depending on where you at in life.
That too.
Like where you at in your stage of life. Because if you're at a point where you just want to kick it, I'm trying to find somebody to hang with or blah, 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 then that's a little different. But if I'm looking for somebody who's on my level, where I'm at, where I'm going, then I'm going to kind of look at it a little different.
Yeah. So then my question then for either of you is, how does a woman know from that stance, right? So let's say I go into a club or wherever I'm at, and a man is very attracted to me. Let's say that happens, okay? And now he's either spinning game because he's trying to get in my pants, right?
2 pumps in the grind.
Right, okay, that. Or he's like, wow, she's so beautiful, I want to get to know her. Okay. But some guys run game like they want to get to know you, and they don't really want to get to know you. So how does a woman be able to establish when it's game?
That filter? How do you
filter off in the initial? Because I think at some point as we get into this, there's telltale signs as you get to know a person.
True.
But in the initial, how do you gauge that?
Wait, I don't know if I'm breaking a man code by talking too much. You want to go, Vito?
I don't know either.
Break the code. I guess Let's keep it real.
The alcohol definitely reduces inhibition, right? So, you're going to have poor decision-making skills upon how many drinks you have. I mean, there's definitely a scale there, number one. Number two.
You might be talking to Respucia in the morning.
Might be, right.
In the morning, he thought Respucia was Rapunzel.
So,
very strong back.
And then the conversation has to ensue, so you have to be, I mean, are you going to look for something physical? I mean, at that particular time, is that what you want? And then you've got to be on that same page. And then if it happens, and then it was, that was good, plus maybe everything thereafter, the conversation or communication thereafter, then maybe it can go to the next phase. Or you do it the same thing you did, even though you saw your, your knight in shining armor on the cruise ship, right?
Mhm.
You got to know the person first.
Yeah,
right?
he
And
took
that
off
part
his
of the
armor, and I was like, oh, and got off his horse, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, but how long did it take? How long did that take?
Right.
It wasn't overnight.
Well, you know what's interesting
It's
that you
red
actually.
flags though too.
Well, it's
Yeah.
interesting you say that because again, when we talk about love versus lust, and I'm in that situation that I described is probably a little bit more of an infatuation
Sure.
Okay.
than it was a lust thing. It was just there was this initial intrigue that kind of got me wrapped up in infatuation. But I think we were mutually infatuated with one another,
Okay.
and there was a misconception that we had that it was love, and I think that infatuation lasted for a certain period, and then
How
you know,
long, you think?
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how long did yours last for?
I think we were really heavily infatuated for probably the first year, but we
Okay.
had distance, right? And so it made it easier for that infatuation phase to last
yeah.
Man,
longer.
that don't count.
Right.
So
So you were waiting.
I would initially say you got red flags. Seriously, like you got like you say you meet somebody in the club, that's red flag automatically. I mean, come on, I ain't gonna meet no wife in no club. You gonna be
You
my
don't
wife
think
for an
You
hour?
could. But I mean, but in fairness, that might be the mentality of a guy. So when us women go out and things like that, some men will think that if I'm in a club, the intention here is not to meet the wife. Where we
No.
might be like, we're in the club, we're gonna meet like
You trying to
The-
get my money? Like, come on, like that's how a man is looking. Like you trying to clip me. You trying to get some money.
So what if the woman says,
drinks.
"I'm gonna buy you a drink"?
Then you just got my attention. I'm definitely gonna take you home.
That's different.
But see,
Oh,
once
take me home?
again, I'm not trying to make you my wife.
So where you meet the woman?
It depends.
ultimately-
It speaks volumes.
Okay.
Seriously, it speaks
I think so.
volume. Because
Yeah.
if I met you at the
I
club,
agree.
I'm never gonna really take you serious. I don't care how beautiful you are. But if I met you at a business meeting and we were out and we had that dialogue, that changes the whole game. Because I look at you in your setting and I say, wow, she's beautiful. I like the way she moves. I like the way she talks. Now you just captivated me in that moment.
mhm.
And now I really want to get to know you. Even though I'm still interested in the sexual experience,
Right.
but I really want to get to know you. So it opens your eyes a little different than when I meet you in the club or you out with your girls. It's kind of like,
But I think
And-
it's also,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, please.
It's also
Yeah.
based on our age. I mean, when
oh yeah,
20 years ago,
man.
on. Now, I'm like, really?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
real
the
talk.
process of getting to know somebody, you're like,
Yes.
do I really want to go down this path?
Yeah.
But then also
gonna
too,
waste
you
my
guys
time.
aren't showing up
Yeah.
at a club. I want to show the little cartoon, and then we'll go on to the next point. So okay, here we go. These cartoons I found these online. Karina Farrick and Shea Strauss. They're series of illustrations from College Humor. So I want to give props to whom created these illustrations. But lust, and you see in the first caption, it says, "You are the most beautiful person." He's like got his drawers on,
He
right?
got his
And she's
kitty
got her-
drawers on,
and
that's
she's
that.
giving him that lustful look. Versus love, you are the most beautiful person. She's tearing up a sandwich, and he's got
Yeah.
his pajamas on,
Yeah.
right? So I
I can't tell who is who in that one either.
right.
On the right, like was the right the dude or the girl?
Right.
Who is who?
Yeah.
But it's kind of, I mean, that's right. That's kind of like when sometimes as it gets more into, because sometimes people have this lustful, like magnetic chemistry, and
Yeah.
there's all this sexual chemistry, and then they go at it, right?
Yeah.
And inevitably, I think someone ends up getting in their feelings,
Oh,
right? If
Oh,
you
yeah.
have this undeniable sexual chemistry with a person,
yes.
and you go after that right away out the gate, and you get fired up on that sexual chemistry, someone gets really caught up in that.
Yeah.
So although you're lusting after someone, wouldn't you say, for you gentlemen, this is
right.
my perspective. For me, I'm always like a prude, if you will. If I'm meeting a guy and there's all this crazy chemistry, I
Okay.
still like to make him wait. Because I'm not looking for like a lustful relationship. I know I'm a grown woman and there's no problem with like people meeting people and then going off and doing their thing. But
Wait, go on. Let me say. You said
gotta-
you're gonna make him wait. You got to break that down.
What I
Gonna make
mean-
him wait on what level?
Right.
For real.
on a sexual, on intimacy.
So you
Because listen, for me, this is just me. And I don't knock anybody who does it
yeah,
any other
we
way.
gotta talk about that, real.
But for me, okay, I am a busy woman, and
Okay.
and my body for me is my temple. Period. Okay, so I am not, I don't need to go down the aisle and marry someone before I'm intimate with them. But everybody's not privy to this.
Yeah.
Not that level of vulnerability, because I look at it as a very vulnerable state to be. And again, I'm not knocking anybody who is like, I just got to get mine. But you have to be clear, especially with women, because I think it's innate for us. We're different sexually than most men. And I'm being vague, okay?
That's very true.
But my thing is this. Anytime that I have met a guy and there's a lustful attraction between the two of us, right? Because I'm not going to deny that I don't have those kind of like fiery kind of thing. And I wait and I spend a little bit more time with the person. The lust kind of tinkers away when you get to know the person. Too. And I don't make the mistake of getting caught up because I gave myself away sexually. Yeah. So that's how I look at it.
And I'm sorry. I think we get there a little bit slower. I'm there now, but I wasn't there like I was saying earlier in my life. It took me time, and I think about it in the same manner. It's just like, wow. Again, do I want to go through the process? Do I really want to step outside of my comfort zone and let somebody in, and then introduce them to all the crazy things that I go through, and then expect them to either take it, roll with it, or at least in the beginning when there still is that lustful period, if you would, have the ability to still have open conversations about what it is that you're looking for. That's hard, and it took me a long time to get there.
Yeah, I'm with him on that, on a mature level, because women, you ready to be married at 12. Y'all look at it a little different. Be like, you play with the dolls and all that. I ain't ready to be married. So I got much older, really like knowing that I'm ready to be married. And I agree with what Vito just said. It's a maturing as far as a man, because now I'm on a different path. I'm looking to a whole nother future in the lust, so we can separate our love and lust a lot different than we could.
And I know we're going to be doing some questions. Go ahead, Carmen.
Because I want to give a different perspective. Please, yeah. So I was married till I was 36. So
wait, how old were you when you first? Yeah.
We met at 18.
Oh wow.
So most of my adult life, I'm 43 now. Married.
Okay.
So I have had some lustful experiences. Maybe I've never had like a one night stand or anything like that. But
is it on your checklist?
I think
is it on your bucket list?
No,
I don't think it was a bucket list. I just think
like how it's almost the reverse. So like you're saying you're looking for love now, not so much the lust. You guys probably did that younger in your lives. I've had experiences where I knew how to put it in a box.
Sure.
And say this is what it is.
Which part?
The not getting my feelings invested.
But I think
being more mature as a woman, it's like, okay, if that's the type of experience I want to have with you, I know it's not going to lead to anything else. Yeah. But we have that chemistry.
And here's what's interesting about that, because a lot of times this topic, we think it's one-sided, like the men are only the lust and the women are the love. Yeah. But in that example that she's talking about, she had her commitment and her devotion for, from a young age till 36, her whole life. Yeah. So I think becoming single at 36 years old and saying, you know what, I don't necessarily want to jump back into marriage. And so she experienced that, but I've known her for many years. I mean, we've only been friends for like a year.
Shut up.
Just kidding. It's an inside joke. But seriously, there have been times even with her being clear on those boundaries and saying, look, I don't want strings attached. Let's just
and the man
be this. And the man was the one that got really caught up.
It's like the time we spend together is the time we spent together. Don't call me and ask me anything.
Being vague. Like, did you?
Yeah, there was a sexual,
there was an intimate
relationship.
Okay, yeah.
But again, was your picker off? Did you just pick the wrong one?
I love that picker word.
Did I pick the wrong one? No, because I knew exactly what I was doing. I wasn't picking you to be in my relationship.
But you chose him. You chose him.
Right.
Regardless of how you chose him. Yeah. You chose him. You just chose the wrong one.
No, because for the experience, I didn't choose the wrong one. I experienced it the way I wanted to.
I think what he's saying is that you chose the wrong one that's going to fit what your need was.
Correct.
Oh.
So you met a man who wanted something different.
More than what I wanted.
Than what you wanted. Okay. And so that's what he means by that.
So that man was ready for marriage and you was ready, wasn't trying to get there, is what you're trying to say.
Pretty much.
So you just wanted him to come spend a night on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And if I wanted to hang out, we hung out. And if however that time together was.
She being so vague, I thought it was going to be a block.
It was very selfish and one-sided.
You chose the wrong one. For that situation.
Okay, but this is a good segue, and this is kind of what I mean, right? Because that's actually perfect right there for men and for women. When it's lust versus love, okay? The clarity and the picker, right? And making sure, because here's a mistake that I've had female friends do, is they get wrapped up in the love in the lust as an example.
All right.
But they think their picker, to your point, Vito, is they're picking a man who is not available emotionally. He's not looking for a connection. And she thinks she's going to sex his way into one. She thinks if I'm just going to be blunt. If I put it down any which way for him, do whatever he wants sexually, he's going to be so into the sex that he's going to fall in love with me. And it absolutely is not true, right? You guys want to speak to that?
It's not true.
No.
Go ahead. No.
You guys are simple. Absolutely not.
Truthfully, it's not the case. Because of the fact that for men, let's go here, a lot of men are territorial a lot of times as well. But when it comes down to the sexual aspect of it, sex isn't like most women will use sex to bond a man a lot of times. And so most men will kind of use it at convenience. It's kind of catch-22ish overall. So for her, she was trying to sex her way into his life like he gonna fall in love on this thing. And he like, I've been waiting too long to get that thing. So now you put it in the competition.
Or not even that he's waiting too long, but it's like you started off as it being a thing. I see that because I've had men saying, you guys, I would love to hear your guys' input, that men will say, and she put out too fast. She was too easy. So if she's like that with me, she's going to be like that with all the other men.
Is that a thing for men?
That's more of an immature, like he was saying earlier.
Yeah.
Like Vito was saying earlier, because that's a view of being more immature. Like for me, my maturity came a lot later. And what you were saying too, where we misconstrue and cross the lines, is I'm in a lustful moment, right? And somebody had blasted me on one of my shows. They say, you putting it down too hard and then you hug it afterwards. That's why it's like it's love. And I'm like, I didn't know.
Right.
I thought I was going to hug you afterwards.
You're supposed to just push her off.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, that's rude. My mama told me not to push her off. Like, she's like, show us some love. So I didn't know it'd make her attached.
Dang.
Is it like
affection, sex, and then adding affection to the sex?
But that's what I'm saying. See, a lot of people don't know how those lines are crossed when we're talking about adding the affection aspect of it into the equation. Because you as a woman, you got to teach men, or a lot of men don't know that. Because it's like, we did this.
That sometimes people are just not honest.
That's the part. That's what I would lead into.
Yeah.
It's just the communication, and so much is missed.
Yep.
And I know my maturity came late because I wasn't as honest with my partners at the time.
I'm right there with him.
And then you find yourself later in a position where you're like, you were, right?
Yep.
But I was doing it more consistently. It was almost like that, that trial is going to continue until you figure this one out, dude.
Yep.
And people think they could change somebody.
You cannot.
If somebody says something, you just have to believe it.
And if they show you, believe it twice.
Right.
You guys are like hitting on my questions for later.
But that's the part of you actually getting to the point where you know what you want,
right?
And you know what you're not going to tolerate either. Right. And that's the part where we actually mature. So now we're separating. Where's my lust? Where's my love at? Because you automatically know right out the gate. Now in your mature level, like this person ain't gonna make the cut.
Right.
That part.
Especially if you go to somebody's house and you kind of see the front yard, you step in the kitchen, or all kinds of little things we look at now that we didn't look at. I'm serious.
Right. About the front yard, y'all.
No, it's way different.
I get it. I get it.
It's different.
It's like, whoa, these
So if
kids
we can go to
bad.
the next one real quick. Or maybe we'll just kind of read them all since we're kind of like...
just go
for it, yeah.
So, okay, let's read this. And then, so it's security is love, right? Versus jealousy. Being level-headed versus being distracted.
True.
Patient versus being impatient. Friendship versus an image. Has a future or is about today. Gives versus takes.
Okay.
So anybody want to kind of talk on those points? Like, for example, the give and take. Clearly, if you are in a lustful relationship, you're going to come and this is what I need from you, right? And it's sexual, right? That's the whole thing of lust. It's this chemistry, whatever. If you don't have anything outside of the bedroom with this person, they're not falling in love with you. They don't love you. I have so many girlfriends, right, that will say, well, he called me at like midnight, or he went out with his friends and he called me and I went over there to hang out with him. But I think next week maybe we'll go to the movie, okay? Then, or to dinner. And the call never comes because he's busy when it's time to do things like that.
What is he saying to her when they're
Real
together?
talk.
What's the pitch? Obviously, there's one there. There's a believable. There's a story and there's a receipt of the story.
Right. I think
She didn't want to hear it.
And maybe this is just me speaking as a woman, my assumption of a man.
All right.
Some men know exactly what to do, like give the smallest amount to a woman just to
Sure.
keep her on the hook. And he knows when to call. He knows when to text, you know.
You want to really touch on that? 'Cause
Yeah,
we can
touch
go
on it.
deep
Because
on
like
that.
I said, that's my assumption.
but it depends on the woman because
Yeah.
I'm the complete opposite of that.
Ugh.
I am checks and dot the I, cross the T. You can
Yeah.
but that's also from my life's experience, right?
Sure.
I have been mostly single my life. I mean, I've been in long-term relationships that I've not been a married woman.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, all of that, I've sifted through a lot of the BS. So I don't care
She's
what
hardcore.
I'm hardcore. I am,
All right.
but I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah.
No,
It's like,
life's too
listen,
short.
if you
With that.
come to me
Yes.
and you're into me, and if you're into me, want to be intimacy, then we got to have a conversation,
Right.
See,
right?
yes.
And so
I
you
agree
got to court me.
100%, yes.
But
This
I didn't think that way. You know,
Me
I'm
neither.
I was
sorry,
trying to-
now I don't,
Yeah.
now it's
Yeah.
different. But I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
those are things that I have experienced with men. Like, they do just enough to keep you on the hook. You know, and like you were saying,
Yeah.
the girls will call and be like, "Oh, well, he called me at this time. He called me, said good
Yeah.
morning. He said good
But I
afternoon."
think that's what
you
the
know,
mis-
like, go ahead. I want to hear what he has, what
but
y'all
I think,
got to say.
I want you to hear what you have to say, but I think that's the issue is that all women,
Yeah.
all the man needs to do is see that little bit of her being a little bit naive,
Run
and
with
a
it.
little bit of sparkle to what he says, and he's got her.
And
He's
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
and it's
Either I would love to
and
hear
it
yours.
takes practice, you know, and I'm sure he'll touch on it. It's trial and error for us to in that situation if you're going to point directly at us. But oftentimes, you know, I don't know if it's oftentimes the right term, but it's both sides, right? Whatever they're giving, whatever we're receiving, vice versa. I can imagine it. You know, I've been in the situation where I'm texting and there's no response, and vice versa,
Mhm.
and it was post a relationship. So
Oh yeah.
you didn't know. It's not you didn't know what you had at the time, but you're just kind of processing it late. And again, you're going through the steps, the processes, and I'm going back and I review everything. I remember everything, so it comes back later, especially when I allow it to. And then I think about it differently. And then going forward, I hope I learn from it, you know. But hope will get you.
Were you gonna say Cleve? Because you over there like
No, I'm agreeing with him as well. And just like he said earlier, your picker was off.
Yeah,
Your picker was off because
Yeah.
a lot of men run into women that want to rebuild them. A lot of women want men that they can rebuild or the challenge. A lot of women run into that a lot of times as well.
Man,
Believe
not
it or not,
saying
a lot of
building
women do
blocks.
run into that. Where they
Yeah.
want the challenge, and if it's not challenging, then they tune out. So when there's a man that actually returns your calls and whatever else, like whatever, but the one that don't return your calls, you're like, why hasn't he called me?
right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's a part of the maturing act as
Yeah.
far as you as a woman and knowing what signs you to look for, what you will and will not take as well.
And it's this is me being in the psychology world here with the cognitive dissonance, right? And the rationalization of things.
All right.
And what I mean by that is that a man or woman, because it goes both ways. Like you
Right.
said, both of us experience it both sides. You see that this is what the person is. So let's say a guy meets a woman
Okay.
and they have a one night stand. It was lust. And he's like, wow, I really liked her. I'd like to get to know her. The next day she wakes up and she's like, ugh, what did I do? I never want to talk to this guy again. Okay?
Yeah. Was it bad?
Whatever the reason why, maybe there's remorse. Maybe she's like, I drank too much. I didn't want to do this. Some women will cut off just not be even because of the man.
They
but-
could be cutting it off for self-sabotage, though. Like,
right.
so they
See?
don't
we
get their feelings
So
hurt.
there's variables. There's variables. So the point that I'm trying to make is that the next day or what have you, in that particular example, there's different variables as to why she bounces, right? But the next day, now he's feeling like I want to get to know her, and he's doing the reach, and she's not responding. And then let's say it was a great night. All she wants is to jump off. And then she's like, a week later reaching out. And then he goes back for it. And next thing you know, he's hooked. And he's all, sprung and hooking up. And she's using him. So it goes both ways. And I kind of lost what my point was. But I don't know what my point was.
but he probably excited because he probably like, man, I didn't never think I could have her.
Right.
All
Or
that-
whatever the
all-
situation, right.
Exactly.
It's all
Depending on
different
where you found him at,
circumstances, so many variables.
at that timing.
Pop up the next little cartoon. Lust. How did you know these aren't my favorite? That's my voice. Versus
That is
love.
hilarious.
How did you know I'd start today?
See, and you know what? I remember the
No, that's
love
love
part
for real.
anyways. No, that ain't love. That's something
The
my mama
tampons?
taught me. Yeah, I'll just go buy some.
But you ain't doing that from some girl you're lusting after. You're not showing up when she's just on her period.
No, I'm not. But I remember when it is, though.
Yeah, for a woman you care about.
No.
So he knows when to call her if he's lusting about her.
That's one of those issues right there when we're talking about.
No, you might be remembering just to know whether or not she's pregnant.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I
need to know when your
I threw them
cycle
kids down the drain last night. But what I'm actually saying is, what I'm actually saying is, for me personally, this is where we go back to the maturing. What he was saying earlier is I'm doing things that are for a relationship. Mm-hmm. And which shouldn't be, you get what I'm saying? So, she let me get at it. So I'm like showing up, remembering stuff that I shouldn't be remembering, like on that day. Yeah, I know it's the 15th.
But that's my point, though. That's love. That's when you start to
No, I'm in a lustful situation. That's where people get the wires crossed. See,
okay,
they get it crossed.
Yeah.
I'm crossing the wires because I'm giving you love experience in a lustful state.
But why would you do that?
Because I haven't matured to separate the two.
Got it.
So a lot of people are in lustful situations where I don't want to be with you. They automatically know you're not the one for me.
But yet they're doing love stuff.
They're doing love stuff.
You know what's interesting? Because that's kind of what you did in that situation.
Absolutely. I was clear.
And that's where, when you said your picker was off, because in her languaging, she was very clear on what she wanted, no strings attached. Okay. But her actions mirrored a relationship.
Yes.
So when he started getting clingy and needy and wanting more from her, she was like, but I told you I don't want something. But can you come with me to do this and that kind of thing? But it was like she acknowledged at the time of her life, she needed her time. But she wanted, affection and companionship. And so it was kind of a selfish thing. And I think that's where a lot of us have
definitely.
I'm even going to kind of reverse engineer it.
Okay.
There has been times where you start off in a relationship and it is a relationship and there's maybe love or you care a lot about the person. And let's say it doesn't really kind of grow.
Okay.
And then you're ready to kind of venture off and be your own, but then you pick up the phone and call them because they're conveniently available to you.
Yeah.
And you're just using them for lust and it goes the other way and then the person can't disattach from you.
And I shouldn't have cooked you that big salmon. See, now you guys just taught me something as well. See, I'm like, I just cooked this salmon right here and put some size with it. But you're telling me that because you're in a lustful state, you shouldn't do that. And a lot of people don't know how to cross those, to not filter that over. Because I'm looking at it as, I want you to feel good about yourself. I don't want you to feel like you're a piece of meat. And
that's because you're not a bad person.
I'm not a bad person, but I had to learn, like, I ain't cooking you a damn thing.
Yeah.
I just think that, I think people need to be more clear in their communication and not, because I think, and we talked about this, I think, last episode or whatever, is that a lot of people are dealing with the loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
And some of their lust is not even just sexual, like just for sexual gratification. Some of it's because they just want someone around them in their space.
That convenience is
and then when they're
dangerous.
kind of over it, they feel content, or let's say they've got other things to do, then they kind of dismiss the person and use them in a way. You were going to say something, Carmen?
I was going to say, I was in a relationship that the sexual chemistry was amazing.
That's dope.
And the relationship was toxic, though.
Oh,
so it was like, right? Ooh. So it's like, how do you, like, you get caught up on one side of it.
Yeah.
Yet you're trying to be in this, and it's like a whole mental whirlwind. Like, I don't know, just give me regular, average.
You know what? Because
healthy relationship.
Because that was that spontaneity as well.
Yeah.
Everything about that experience was so attractive that you overlooked the toxicity of it. And it made it more challenging as well.
Well, not only that, but when you're in a toxic relationship, we talked about it last week with relationship patterns, and there's that push and pull, on again, off again. We're in it, we're not in it. It gives you it becomes an addiction, right? And so because you get your fix and you get your highs and lows, and it becomes this dopamine, serotonin. It literally is chemical when you're in toxic relationships, right?
Yeah. Like you just said about the distant relationship you had with your husband.
Yeah.
It was distant. So when it's distant, you're missing it.
Correct.
So when you separate yourself from that person, it's so much of the chemistry that you're missing, but it ain't really for you.
Because imagine when you're in a toxic relationship where there's peaks and valleys, and the person or the people together, because I believe people participate, right? There's some participation on both sides.
Okay.
But if, let's say, you're going through the ringer and you're fighting and I'm done, I'm over and whatever, and then you break apart, and then you're missing them and mourning them and oh my God, and hating them and all that stuff. And then one of the persons come back promising you sun, the moon, everything's going to be better. Then boom, you get your fix, you get your high, and you have incredible sex, right? Makeup sex is the best, and we're going to be great, and we're going to love each other. And then boom, we hate each other again, and we go through the cycle again.
Because the people you can't change, like you said earlier. People don't change. You said it, I believe. People don't change. You can change, right, to a degree, or you can choose to respond or deal with that situation maybe differently. But if you're unhappy, intrinsically you're unhappy, that person's not going to make it any better.
Correct.
I read something not too long ago. It might have even been recent and ironic that we're here talking about this. It was like, look, we shouldn't be out here in our age group, in my opinion. Like you guys have kids, you have this, this life already set up. You really shouldn't be out there looking maybe for your soulmate, right? You should be just finding yourself and then projecting that out there. And then that person will come, that attractive, and maybe you just realize that you want to spend the time with your best friend. Right, and that's a cognitive
You better
decision.
preach, Vito. Vito over here preaching. What church you at? You over there.
But I mean, it was ironic that I just saw that.
No, but that's so profound, and
I'm with you.
Almost
on that,
like
bro.
wanted to say that again, but it's true. I think that at some point in your life, you have to self-love and practice that love for yourself, so you can project it outward.
And that cognitive dissonance, that. I mean, that's like saying the same thing, right? So we get back into the relationship. And now everything's going well, and then boom, that secondary thing hits, and that's cognitive dissonance because you're operating in a certain way, and then something else comes into the picture where you're not expecting it, and you are just taken aback. So that's really where 100%. It comes into play.
And when you mature to a certain point as well, it goes beyond the looks. Because I can meet the most beautiful woman, and I'm like, yeah, I'll pass.
Now what, right? So
yeah, exactly. Because you got to look at it like this. After you have that moment, that intimate moment, what else is brought to the table? So that's where we get to the point of where we're looking for that love aspect of it. So the love aspect, one of the things you had on here, right here, is the fact that we have future goals. Now we're looking
can you put that back up there, the bullet points, so we can see?
Yeah. So when I get to the love aspect of it, now I'm matured. I want the security. I want a person that's going to be level-headed and be able to understand me. That level-headedness helps us get past everything. And then a person being patient, having a friendship.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think when you're ready to receive love, because you're already being loved, and it makes you level-headed about what that relationship is.
Yes.
Versus when it's lust, it's usually it's a distraction, right?
Yep.
I've been in relationships where, a matter of fact, my last relationship, in the beginning of our relationship, it was, and in all due respect to him, I'm not taking away what we had over the course of years. But in the beginning, I was dealing with a lot of things at home. I had someone living in the home that was dying, and it was heavy and it was overwhelming, and he was a distraction. So being in that relationship, I could check out from life and go spend the weekend there, and it was lustful and amazing and all that stuff, and there was attraction, but it kind of started getting toxic because it didn't start off on the right foundation. It was a distraction. I wasn't level-headed when I went into that relationship. So it evolved into a relationship. And now when I met him, he was ready for a relationship. I was, a year or so out of a divorce. Okay. Now I'm dealing with a very ill person. Okay. I had a lot of stress and things like that. And so although I was attracted to him and liked him, I wasn't looking for love where he was. Okay. So he was able to kind of be the glue to hold it together at one point, because there were times when I was trying to run away from it. So it was able to evolve, but it was lust and it was a distraction. I was not a level-headed person going into that relationship with a person who was looking for someone level. So his picker was off, if I'm being honest.
Can I say something though too? Is some people have actual purposes though within where you are.
Correct. Yes.
So that's something. That's another thing I had to look at as well, because that person's purpose was to help push me here, and that was it. So I can't take them any further.
Reason, season, lifetime. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So a part of my lust is, like you just described, is I'm actually excited about this experience, and then when they leave, a person is angry. It's not about them leaving. It's just their time is up.
They serve their purpose.
It served their purpose as well. So it helped me get that fix. It helped me be able to think outside the box and start.
Especially when it evolves into a relationship, and if it doesn't work itself out, then you have to look back and see the purpose. So I want to go to the next little cartoon because I want to get to the questions before we run out of time. Right. Lust versus love. don't worry about it, baby. I got this. Versus she's out there with the plunger. Don't worry, baby. I got this.
Oh, yeah.
Go to the next little one. We'll zip through these cartoons. Okay. The next one goes, I want to bleep you all night long,
yeah.
baby. Versus, I want to do nothing with you all night long and then bleep you.
Yes.
Or fall asleep. Okay, here's this one. Oh my God, you're so funny. Versus, I don't even know why this is so, but that's my favorite kind of love.
Yeah.
When you have become so synergistic together that you just laugh over the stupidest things. Yeah, because in love, lust doesn't really ever feel like a friendship, right?
Well, can we go into that
Yeah,
as well?
please.
Because here's the challenge: is we always talk about friendship. A lot of people don't know how to build that.
Okay.
And the reason why a lot of people don't know how to build the friendship is because we don't want to go and let somebody into our mental closet.
Okay. Expound on that, please.
So we want to let you know about the exterior experience of us. I got a divorce. This person made me mad. When we get to the mental closet, it's like, you know what? I was over there thinking about her in Walmart. And man, I thought about just taking her, driving up the street. How do you go and tell that person that you have a friendship with? It's always easier to have the friendship with somebody distant opposed to someone up close. The person that you're in love with, you're building with, you're going to go tell them that you had a lustful thought about somebody you just seen in line. You see what I'm saying?
No, you definitely are not going to tell them that.
But
I don't even think. I think period. You
But
just
why
never say
can't we
that.
be honest
But
with that?
that's what I'm telling you.
But that's the relationship you may want.
Exactly. But you haven't even gotten to that. You haven't even
Yeah.
grown to accept that.
That's the relationship you want. That's the communication you gotta have.
Exactly. So we can openly tell each other what's going on, what's up in my mental closet, what's happened, what just broke
I
down.
guess I see what you're saying, and I guess that exaggeration, or that example, was I don't know. Go ahead. You're going to say I don't know.
I don't share. You better not never
No,
tell
it's
me
not
that.
that I don't share, but I think what you're, if I'm hearing you correctly, what I'm thinking
for
I'm
it.
hearing you say is this: that if we're going to truly have a friendship with
Yeah.
our partners, that we have to set them up that they feel safe to be honest.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
Doesn't
we
mean
push
that
it
you
away.
got to say I wanted to. Like, I don't need my man to tell me that there was a big booty girl at Walmart that he wanted to take up the parking lot with.
He don't. Here's an example. Because I don't think a man's gonna come home and say I wanted to bang her. Like I saw the girl online and her ass was so big I wanted to bang her. But like so I'm dating someone and we have started off really quickly and it's been great and we were developing a great friendship and it's like to be able to be on the level of honesty that we're on is amazing. Like he could say, you know, some girls were trying to talk to him and I don't feel any type
You don't feel
of
that
way about it because
insecurity.
he's making me
Exactly.
feel secure about it. But I think you should be able to have those conversations. with who you're with.
Exactly.
I don't want to be with nobody I can't be
Be your
my
absolute
complete
self.
self with.
Absolutely.
But
I don't
me
even
either.
want
In
it.
society, we are taught to put up that wall to not
Right.
do that because that's wrong. A lot of
Right.
our cultural background of who
Yes.
raised us and what we've always seen didn't open the door for that.
No.
Even if we look at our parents' experiences, a lot of times, you know, a lot of parents be like, you know, go take Vito to school. All right. You know, that's the communication. But when we talk about real communication, like, I got to tell you something.
Right.
No gossip from work, but just tell you like,
Mhm.
yeah, man, Carmen was over there, you know, she...
See, and I this is good because I like a healthy debate. So I'm going to debate it just a little bit.
Go for it.
I definitely feel 100% that you should have clear communication and honesty amongst one another. However, I think that you should have some couth in that and some respect in that. Yes, you're going to have wandering minds and you're going to have things that come in your mind. Is that necessary a conversation? What is the importance and the significance? It doesn't take away your honesty and your integrity in the relationship.
Again, that's what you want. So
Okay.
you're being very specific as to what Lorraine feels and wants. So Lorraine's saying basically, hey, I want to be in a relationship and maybe we are having an unspoken truth, right? That girl's bad. That guy's handsome. We're just not going to tell each other, but we know mentally that person
Right,
is
it's like-
attractive.
right,
But
okay.
in what he's saying is in my experience, right? He just wants to be himself, and if himself thinks that somebody's attractive and they want to say that to the other person, and like she's saying, and you receive that, then that's okay because what they're saying is that they just want to be like an open book, and that's
Yeah.
their level
Yeah.
of
What if
communication.
you're walking in the mall and you don't want to hear it and he's like, look, damn, she's, you know, like it just slips out like, damn, her butt is
You're gonna
big or
get
something.
upset.
Like, yeah, like you,
Yeah.
like I'm gonna be like, yeah, her butt is big.
Yeah.
You know, like I'd rather have
I think
that.
there's a way to approach things like that. And I think that there needs to be I think there's a respectful aspect to that and communication. And I think that you should be respectful of your partner. Yes, of course, you're going to see people that you're attracted to.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's a
okay,
way.
so
we're
let me
not
just
saying,
say,
we're
yeah.
not saying go and tell
I
them
get
that
it.
they're
No,
attractive.
we're not saying that.
We're saying have that friendship.
But
have
I'm gonna base it off the original example, which was I'm gonna see a girl in Walmart, and I know you're just giving a funny example, and I want to take her in the car, and you can say, if I'm with my partner and I'm in a room and there's someone who's attractive, and they catch my eye, I have to check in with my why as to why I'm articulating that to my partner, right? Because you can create insecurities, you can make people, and I get what you guys are saying that you should be able to be yourself.
100%.
But is the real me, like if I'm with her out as my friend, there's no agenda between her and I romantically, we're just friends. Will I, when we're having a great dinner together and we're talking about business or whatever we're talking about, and a good looking man walks in, if it fits the conversation, I might stop what we're talking about and be like, wow, that man's really good looking. Or it might be a fleeting thought. But either way it goes, I'm comfortable with being myself. So I guess I understand what you guys are saying.
So here's where I want to interject, Rick, so I don't forget this thought, is the fact that we are so much more honest with a friend or a guy friend,
of course,
or a female friend, opposed to the person that you have a partnership with. That's the same lines we were talking about. So when you have a male friend, you have a different type of honesty you have with him than you have with your partner.
I agree.
Even with your female friends, you can be totally blunt with them and be like, girl, let me tell you real quick, Vito hit me up and he was trying to get with me or blah, blah, blah. But you don't feel comfortable enough to even
And I
have
get what
the
you're saying. You
dialogue
should be
with
able
your
to
spouse.
you should be able to have a healthy space to share like you do with your friends. I think that is important in partnerships. Absolutely.
It's not like, remember, you're using the word to say it's a similar. At this age in particular, and the maturity level coming in, you have to know yourself, right?
Yes.
And if yourself can't deal with it, and you're with somebody that has that, then that may be your pickers off, right? Everything else checks, right? But you got to be just comfortable with yourself. And if you're not, then maybe those guidelines and those boundaries exist because that's something you got to do.
Right.
I have even been with people, you can't even talk about your past relationship.
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
what the heck is
Yes,
that?
I've
I would
been
be
there.
there if that's where I want to be.
Yes.
Like,
we have a past.
And
Like,
you know the
Yeah.
ones that are jealous of
43
somebody
years
that you
old,
was
like-
with before you even got there.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude, that was in '89. Get
I'm
out of
like,
here.
I want to hear about it. I want to know where you came from. I want to know
Exactly.
what you've been through so I can,
Yes.
you know patterns
But
and you
again,
get to know who this
you got to
person
check
is.
in with your. You talk about checking in with your picker. I'm gonna say you got to check in with your ticker. You have to check in with your heart.
Okay.
And what is your why when you're sharing? I'm not saying you can't be an open book, and you also have to be checking in with what you're accepting as being okay. To your point, Vito, what you said is maybe for me, fair enough. I don't need to know every time a woman walks by in a room that my man thinks she's a gorgeous or beautiful. I already see her; she's beautiful.
But again,
and to your
we're
point,
not doing. We're not talking about every time you drop change,
Nah.
right? We're not talking about every
That's
time you set your phone down.
disrespect, but that's
just,
your
that's
own
a level
level
of respect that obviously
well,
has
I'm just
to.
basing off the examples you guys were giving. Okay?
Yeah, but
They're
no,
quite-
we were just
quite
giving
not
everything.
interesting.
examples.
Not everything's always literal, right? And in communication, it's obviously shared. And if you're not talking to the other person, or if you're not listening to the other person, then you find yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
Then what happens? That's like the typical, TV marriages that lasted in the 50s, where the two people sitting in different rooms, and that could happen. So and as we mature, as we were talking about at the top of this conversation, you need to be honest with yourself, and you need to be in a good relationship, obviously with yourself. And then if that projects onto the next person, you'll meet on that level.
Right.
Hopefully there's a level of attractionness first, and then it grows, consequently from there. And then from there, you're on the same page, and the level of respect is shared, right?
Right.
But the communication's better, and the relationship's better.
I get
Real
it. I
talk,
agree.
because we're talking about, then we're going back to love and lust, right?
Yeah.
So I'm falling in love with a person that I don't even have a friendship with.
Yeah.
So
Well,
are we,
right.
because and the reason why a lot of people, like he just said, a lot of people don't have the friendship with the person because they haven't dealt with and been honest
can't be
within
honest.
themselves.
There you
No,
go.
not with the person, with themselves.
Themselves.
That
Yeah.
part.
It's all about you. And this is a part
Yeah.
of me. I can say on this journey where I've been maturing, I'm looking at, man, this insecurity made a decision.
Yes.
This situation
All the
in my
way.
past,
All the way.
of what happened. So now maturing to where I'm at, I can be totally honest and have those uncomfortable conversations with the right person I pick.
Right.
The person that's mature enough, because there's people who's not mature enough to handle you for where you are and where you're going. So now you're
Right.
still in a lustful position.
Yes.
Now we're still in a lustful position because you're cute. I like your job, and you know you got all these little things, these accolades, but really you don't compliment me for
It's
the
not
rest of
in
my life.
alignment with who you
yeah,
are.
and
Yeah.
we're not looking. This is not an NFL career. You know, this isn't short-lived. But oftentimes we think about it as that. You know, like this.
Yep.
I can't fall in love again. You know, my playing days are over.
Yup.
Or I'm not as attractive as I was, or the insecurities may back that up, and that's just
Yep.
not the case. You do have to love yourself first. You got to understand who you are, go through the process, and understand, like you were saying, it's the experiences that we went through and
Yeah.
the choices that we made that kind of make us and bring us to this
Right.
situation. And if we're not making those decisions or understanding within ourselves, like I can or I can't deal with that, then you're going to be in limbo, and it is what it is, and that's okay
Yeah,
because
that's real talk.
So I
that's
wanna-
okay.
I wanna-
That's okay.
All right,
I want
preacher.
to.
All
I
right,
want to go
preacher.
into. We only have a few more minutes, and I would really like to ask the question. So
Go for it.
you guys got to like answer them
Really.
All right, go
really
for
quickly.
Rapid.
Go for it,
I had
coach.
10, but we'll probably maybe
Go,
get
coach,
5.
go,
We
coach.
might get 5 in, okay? But I think these are fun questions, and some we actually already tapped on. So I want to ask you guys the questions, and then maybe us women will give our perspective from
Sure.
our stance, okay?
Perfect.
So
Are you ready for the truth?
I
Yes.
want the
You
truth the whole
better
time.
handle the truth.
You
Go.
can't handle the truth. Anyway, hold on, I got to look at them because some of we went over already.
All right.
What are signs that a man is emotionally available?
Emotionally available?
Yeah, because I think when we're dealing with lust versus love,
Okay.
okay, a lot of women get into lustful relationships with men,
Yes.
not paying attention to the fact that you think you're going to turn this man into something, but he's not emotionally available to you.
Well, you are. Yeah, it's the devil's in the detail, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. That and emotionally available is what type of work have you been doing on yourself?
But okay, but how does a woman ask? How does a woman know?
How
Like,
they
what
land
kind
on
of
it.
questions does she need to ask?
Well-
What were some like red flags or signs where a woman's like, ooh,
A man will tell you though, because men are
Will he?
straightforward in a lot of ways. Wouldn't
Okay.
you agree?
and actions tell everything.
okay.
Yeah, my actions will. I'm not going to cook no salmon for a woman I'm lusting for no more. I learned that lesson. But truthfully, I'm going to be straight. Look, hey, women out there, no more salmon.
No more.
No more salmon.
more.
I season the hell out of my salmon.
All right. So,
So
if you
what
get
I'm
salmon, he
saying-
likes you.
So what I'm saying is,
Action.
by a person doing the work within themselves, and a man coming to the table to say, you know what, I'm really looking for a wife.
So in a conversation, okay, so to that point,
okay.
because I wanted to be clear
And
for
it's not-
women
yeah.
out there who are really in situations like this.
I
like
think
you
it's
were going to say,
conversation. You pay attention. You would pay attention. You
Okay.
like something, right? I don't know. You like to go to the movies. Well, make it a point to maybe take you to the movie if that's what you like, or watch a movie,
Yeah.
or spend the time. You know, I don't like when you're always on your cell phone. So take time out of a busy schedule to just not do it, and then hopefully the partner receives that.
So if a woman, so I can clarify this. So a woman's in a relationship right now, for women out there that are in a relationship,
Yes.
okay? And they are like, is he just using me for the sex, or is this going to go somewhere? Okay, I get what you're saying. A man's got to be emotional. I ain't cooking the salmon for you and all, and phone this and that. But what could be something? Because I feel like it kind of circles back to the honesty thing.
Okay.
But what would be something that a woman could ask or do so she can be clear and say, you know what? Because some women are confused. Okay, we're not talking about everybody who's.
I just they need to
Huh?
talk. You need to talk. You need to say what you like. I
Yeah.
like this. I want to do this. Why does
If
it
he
have to be
doesn't-
so
Yeah,
hard?
and
Right.
don't catfish me through no text message.
Right.
You know, just because if
So
a
in other
person
words,
is texting
uh-huh.
you all the time and they can't verbally talk to you and
Okay.
they can't verbally express how they feel, you got
Gotcha.
a problem. That's
Yeah.
a red flag. But if you got a person that comes out and they tell you, you know what, this is where I'm at, not telling you because some people will tell you that just to try to have the sexual experience.
Right.
Now we look at the fact that, okay, you've already had the sexual experience and you feeling each other. Okay, that part is out the way. Sex is out of the way. Where are we at now?
Yeah, and tell them what you like. What do you and then if the guy or the female doesn't make time for it,
Okay.
then it's obvious they're not interested.
That
in
makes
you.
sense. So
Yes,
for the
very
women out there,
true.
and this is what goes back to being more honest. If the women are in a relationship and they're dealing with somebody and they're trying to figure out whether it's lust versus love, you have to speak up and you have to say, you know what, I'd really like to go to the movies, or I'd really like you to take me out. If the guy doesn't do it, it's just lust.
It's Captain
I'd like
Obvious.
to say too, and tell me if I'm wrong. If a man is really into a woman,
Mhm.
he's gonna make every effort to be with that woman.
Yes.
Very true. And are we talking about sex is out of the way? Because some people will get some men will get caught up in the hormones will
Making
make
time-
lifetime
okay.
decisions.
Yeah.
So is that part out of the way? Then you got to ask that question.
Just if you really like a woman, whether you've had sex with her or not.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I'm going to definitely make all
Well,
my
I
way.
would say more with the if you've had sex. If it's not and he's still pursuing her, he likes her.
Well,
Yeah.
because you
I
put
mean, that's a no-brainer.
I think you're right.
that
Yeah.
becomes catch-22ish as well. But that's a
There's
a whole nother
episode,
A whole nother
right?
show.
Man,
Yeah.
I can tell y'all.
If a man's pursuing a woman for an extended period of time and she's not putting out, he has some interest in her. He's not going to waste his time. He's going to move on.
Perhaps, right? And again,
I'm
once
gonna wait it out.
we want to, yeah, we
How
want to
long
also
you
talk.
gonna wait?
So
How long
and
will y'all
after it's
wait?
over, the issue
If
is after
all
it's
you're
over.
looking for is some sex, you are not waiting it out.
No,
You are
listen.
moving
Some women
on.
will play with that thing the whole time. They will play the role, and now the dude is on the hunt. That's it. It's a hunt. Now it
Okay.
isn't even a future. See, you just
Sure.
messed that
Because
up.
I've heard men say
Because
that.
when you sit there and put me in a position where I got to sit here and chase it or chase you, I'm not interested. So after that moment is over, I'm done. I'm ready to go somewhere else. So now the moment didn't happen. A man will wait 30 years for one day.
I don't think so.
Listen,
I think that's an
bruh,
exaggeration.
Can you back me up?
In certain situations, it's not. Yeah, it's not. He's not lying.
He
But
keep coming over there fixing your AC unit. Come over there and put those windows in.
But
just
when
build-
he
you might
puts-
have put him in the friend zone. He don't know it.
Yeah.
You know,
But when
I mean,
when you put time,
Well,
Well,
he's not
you
saying
talking about
that.
put
I
time
don't
in
think
it.
he's saying investing
yeah.
all his time in one woman for 30 years and waiting.
Yeah.
But he'll probably keep trying.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can't.
Be a play
Yeah, the fellas
friend.
are
But
speaking.
again-
What am I going to do?
but
Tell me
again-
wrong? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you didn't have that happen.
I've had
Yeah.
a
No,
friend
I haven't.
since high
I don't-
school
Well,
But
as
I'm-
far as
that
you know,
always
I
is
don't
saying stuff. I'm like, dude,
Thank
like
you.
to this day,
See,
and I'm
Yeah,
like,
but that's because he likes you, though,
No,
Carmen.
he won't.
What'd he just say?
I've been waiting since high school.
I mean,
Yeah.
And she will be 70 years old. If I can get it in a group home, I'm gonna get it.
yeah.
In a group home, seriously.
He ain't putting all his eggs in my basket,
and
but
then he
if I
gonna be
drop
showing
the
her yearbook.
basket,
Yeah, you know Carmen.
Right. Game on.
Yeah, you know Carmen right here on page 32 in high school. Yeah, me and her had a moment. He called her right up. Hey, Carmen, remember that moment we had? Yeah, I do remember that
All right,
moment.
let's move on to the last
Yeah.
question.
Go.
Y'all, okay.
sorry, we got off the topic.
Well, yeah, we're getting off topic. So, can a lust-driven relationship develop into love?
Yes.
Okay.
It has the potential.
So, what would then? My next question would be then this: how do you know? I guess you don't
again,
really know, but
I just think this is so easy, and we complicate the absolute hell out
I
of
get
it.
it. But you're very woke. Okay,
But, I
there's
mean,
a
but
lot
not-
of people who are
but-
asleep out there in the
So
light.
you got to repeat
That's
it
the
for him. You got to
right?
slow it down.
So I'm
It's like,
talking for people who are asleep, not
Yeah, but-
people who are very perspective and very dialed in.
but again, it's just because they're not communicating, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they have to talk. It's it. I don't think it's anything outside of it. I really do, because I was a kid for a long time. I mean, up until in my 30s, I was a child,
Okay.
especially in a relationship, and I'm a serial monogamous. So through the relationships that I went through, I made every wrong decision, and I wasn't communicating. I kept my mouth shut,
Yup.
and because I
did
didn't
that
talk,
too.
I let it build and fester,
Yep.
and then I blew, or she did,
Yep.
and I wasn't, and I was making time and doing what I thought was right when I wasn't just listening and communicating. And had we talked about it, who knows?
Right.
Maybe the relationship would have ended sooner, or maybe it would have gotten better, and I'm still in it.
And I
Very true.
can relate to that even on the female side because I'm a serial monogamous as well. I have had a few very long, lengthy relationships that didn't end. That didn't, well, we didn't get married, or they were just women with people for long periods of time. And you're right, there was all these mistakes and mishaps, but because of the failure in communication in those
Yes.
relationships.
And it's just maturity, and we
Right.
literally
Yup.
the entire conversation. It really isn't love versus lust, right? Let's break it down. It's just, can I communicate? Am I mature? Do I know myself? Can I talk to
Mhm.
somebody else? Will they do what I need them to do? Yes, no, maybe. And those are the boxes. I mean,
Yeah. Like, do you want it for the night, or you want it for the future?
Right.
At the end of the day. But when you say, can a lustful moment turn into love? You get comfortable with some people sometimes,
Mhm.
and you misinterpret comfort for
Yeah.
love.
yes,
And that becomes
Mm.
misconstrued because, once again, we
That's
said
actually really
earlier,
good. Yeah.
is
Yes.
I'm so used to you. I'm used to you always meeting me, on your
Yes.
lunch break. I'm used, because can't nobody meet me
Comfortable.
on lunch break like you
Yeah.
do. Can't nobody cook like you
I
do.
love your
Right.
example.
I know.
You're
So
right.
my comfort just went to a whole nother
New level.
Exactly,
Yes.
because of the fact that I'm so used to you.
Yep.
So my comfort caused me to love you, but not fall in love with you.
Yes.
And so we get it's such a thin line
Yeah.
when you don't, like he said,
Talk.
communicate. We don't know how to communicate.
don't.
Right.
We
But
don't.
what we are,
And sorry to interrupt you, but I
You got
think the issue with communication also again goes back to self, right? It's where you
There you
have to first be honest with yourself
yes,
Or you'll never be
and
honest
about
with
who
another
you
person.
are,
yes,
where you need to work on yourself, because you, like you said, you're just projecting. And you're just attracting what you're projecting. And I think we like to victimize ourselves a lot with these relationships and people
Great word.
right?
Yeah.
We all have done it. And it's always them and this situation. They're doing this to us. And it's like, but what is it about you and self that attracted you? So, okay, we've got a few minutes left. I'm going to wrap this up. We could have,
that was really good. I mean, you closed it. I think that makes complete sense that way.
I always like to do this at the end of every show, is to do a quick little round robin.
All right.
Some closing thoughts on the topic or whatever just came to mind through this conversation, because I think we could have, there's so many different avenues we could have went with this. Maybe you guys will come back another time and we can do this again. But Cleve, we'll start with you.
Go for it.
What would you say in closing on the topic of lust and love as it pertains to you today, and whatever you can advise maybe the ladies, or anyway, just say what comes to heart.
All right. So whatever comes to heart for me is when we're looking at the part, I'm going to say maturity. Have you matured? Are you ready for what you say you're ready for? Because when we ask a person to be honest with us, we're only going to be surface honest. So you're only going to be surface honest because you haven't learned to be honest with yourself. So I would honestly say that you got to get to a point you're going to be honest with yourself and start practicing that too. Even if you have some bad picker moments as well, start working on it, because guess what? Practice makes perfect. So start practicing and know your weaknesses, your strengths and weaknesses within yourself, so that you can actually move forward and get what you want. So we all looking to be in love, because that lust thing got me caught up 6 times. I'm cool. six times. That's
How many kids
you got?
I got 6 of them. You gotta look.
That you didn't flush down.
Some of them, man. Some of them, I think I put them on the carpet, man. I thought I did.
Oh, my Lord. TMI.
I missed.
You're so crazy.
I missed.
Vito, please. What are your thoughts, my dear?
I think that, again, we don't want to look this like an NFL career. This is not a short-lived process. If you haven't done it right until now, you've got plenty of time to make it up, number one. Number two, it's very easy to meet people. Social media has made it so easy.
Oh, my God.
That it's almost dummy-proof. So if you really want to practice in a quick moment, download one of these apps, start swiping right. The conversations become more prevalent, right? And then from there, start trying the honesty thing, because at this point, those people are coming into your life because you're in the same setting. You guys are looking for the same thing. So try the honesty card with them. And you can go through a lot. You can practice very quickly. So do that, making it easy. And then communication, right? If you like this person and it's going in the direction you want it to, start talking. Like if you want something or expect it and you tell that person, you voice it, and they do it, guess what? That's step 2, step 3, step 4. And if they continue to do it, maybe you got something.
Well, can I ask something really quick?
If it's really quick.
Add mental health into that. There's always red flags. I got to say that really quick. There's always red flags of the mental health and the issues, and you've already dealt with it in the past. Do not keep accepting that and falling in love with that.
We talked about it in relationship patterns last week.
Definitely. Oh my God.
Yeah, for sure. Carmen?
I always start with self-reflection, self-love. And if you continue to follow the same pattern, you have to look at yourself and how you participate in that. So once you can do that and identify from your experiences what you don't like, you can know when you recognize something you don't like. So those red flags, we didn't talk about red flags, but for me, if I see 2 red flags, I'm out.
Right.
I don't have time for that.
It's maturity though.
And then if you're going to be in a lustful relationship, just know that's what it is and put it in a box and
also
be okay with it.
Yeah, and real quick on the red flags. We know the red flags we know, but there's also the red flags that we don't know. Sometimes we don't know how to identify with those, and that's okay. I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but
I mean, that's the only way you're going to know is through experience. So if you continue to experience the same thing, you got to make a change in yourself, not in somebody else.
Yeah.
And so, I would like to close and say there's a couple of things that you said about time and not giving up, because I think often we fall into lust versus love because we've given up on love. And so we think that lust is kind of the only thing, and we get jaded in our heart, hardened in our heart. But every life experience, particularly in love and in lust, is there. If you're willing to be a student to your life, then you can allow those experiences to become your teachers as opposed to becoming jaded and hardened, right? And I love what you said, because I think sometimes people think, you're only allowed 3 loves of your life, or they get caught up in these mantras of things, and they stop, especially as we get older, we start giving up and thinking that it's too late for us. So anyways, thank you, gentlemen, so much for being on the show. Carmen, of course, I love having you.
Come on here.
Thank you again, please subscribe, send us your comments, give us the thumbs up if you like this show today, and thank you again for watching another episode of The Mindsetters. Till next time, ciao.
Get your mind right.